Welcome to the Dr. Wyatt Show podcast, where developing a long-lasting, happy relationship is the status symbol to achieve, and following my tools is one path to help get you there. I'm your host, Dr. Wyatt Fisher, a licensed psychologist specializing in couples counseling. Well, about a week and a half ago, I was in Florida doing my marriage conference. It was a great experience. I brought my youngest daughter, and we had scheduled Monday to be our day to go to Animal Kingdom. And we were looking forward to it, and the weather was sunny and in the 70s leading up to Monday. And then it was calling for 100% rain on Monday, but we thought hopefully the weatherman had it wrong, or weatherwoman, and unfortunately they were correct. And so the one day we had to go out and explore the Tampa area, it rained all day. And so instead we went to a pavilion on the coast and walked up and got to see the water, at least in the rain. So that was memorable. But anyway, it was a great weekend, a lot of wonderful couples. Just it's so rewarding to do that conference. If you'd like to attend my next conference, the next one is coming up in Denver, Colorado, March 29th. My Total Marriage Refresh conference is a one-day retreat for couples to learn all my tools. And it's a wonderful time to get away from the hustle and bustle of life, to get to know me, because I'm there all day long supporting you. So if you want to learn more about that, you can go to my website, drwyattfisher.com, click on Colorado Marriage Retreat, or the link will also be in the show notes. Today I'm going to go through how I resolve conflicts in my marriage. I call this the diamond approach. You may have heard me talk about this, but I'm going to review it today because you need to learn it. You need to master it, because one of the best ways to improve your relationship is learning how to master conflicts. Nobody likes conflicts. They're uncomfortable, they're unpleasant, but they're a part of being married. If you're married to someone, you're going to have conflicts, so you might as well learn how to do them correctly. And the diamond, in my view, is the way to do it. So the first part of the diamond, think literally of a diamond shape, where you have a point at the top and then 2 points that are out from each other and then another point at the bottom. So that's the flow of this strategy. And the first step is where one of you calls flooded. Flooded means the conversation is starting to escalate and I notice it, and we're calling flooded. It doesn't matter who calls flooded. So even if you're calm and relaxed, but your partner is starting to escalate, you can say flooded. Just don't say, you're getting flooded, because that's going to make them more flooded. But you can say flooded, even if you're calm, but they're getting flooded. Flooded needs to become a safe word. It needs to become a boundary word, a word that you both respect. And even if you don't think things are flooded, you need to honor your partner's use of the word, because everyone has different thresholds when it comes to conflict. Some of us are raised in high conflict homes. Some of us are raised in homes where there was no conflict. So we have different thresholds. So if your partner says flooded, you may think things are fine and you can keep engaging, but if they say flooded, respect it. Another tip in the flooded stage is you want to catch it early. Catch it when it's pre-flooded, and that means maybe you're starting to have a knot in your stomach. You notice your heart is starting to race. Your palms are starting to get sweaty. Your head's starting to get tingly. That's pre-flooded. You want to call it early and catch it early, because that's when you have more self-control. The more flooded you allow things to get, the less self-control you're going to have. So you have to catch it early, call flooded. And so my wife and I do this. So if I notice our interactions are starting to get flooded, me or her can call the word flooded, and then we respect the word. The second part of the diamond flow is now we're going to take a break from each other for 20 minutes up to 24 hours. This break is essential to de-flood. And the reason the minimum is 20 minutes is because research shows it takes at least 20 minutes to get out of fight, flight, or freeze. And you have to get out of fight, flight, or freeze, or else you're not going to be able to come back together and discuss this. So the minimum is 20 minutes. The maximum is 24 hours, so that neither of you can use the word flooded as an excuse to never come back and talk it out. So that's the cap. It's 20 minutes up to 24 hours, give or take, but you want to really strive toward that. During this break, you need to do whatever's going to get you out of fight, flight, or freeze. So whatever's going to relax you. So maybe you need to go for a walk. Maybe you need to listen to some music. Maybe you need to go to the gym. So for my wife and I, when we've tried this in the past, and when we have called flooded, the thing that works really well for me is to go for a walk. When I go for a walk, I take our dog for a walk, I put on her leash, and I just go for a long walk, even if it's 30 minutes. that's enough time usually for me to clear my head and to get out of fight, flight, or freeze, to relax, and to really start thinking about what just happened. What was I feeling? And what was getting stirred up for me? What are the main things? Because in the moment when you're getting flooded, it's a mess, right? In your head and in your heart, everything's a tornado, so you can't really process what you're feeling. And so calling flooded gives you time to settle down and to process through what just happened. What upset me? What did I do that just made that worse? What's the core issue for me with this conflict that we just had? It gives you time to process that and to identify those items, and then you're more prepared to come back later and talk it out. So during this break time, one mistake to watch out for is if you're deflooded, don't assume that your partner is deflooded. And that's a mistake couples make. One partner may deflood faster and they assume their partner is ready to talk. So then they approach their partner and start talking, but their partner is still flooded. So then things re escalate. So once you have deflooded, just send your partner a text, or you can say to them, "Hey, I'm calm. Let me know when you are." And we can pull out the mini reunite tool and talk this out. Another mistake to watch out for during this deflood time is don't stay together in the same room. Because if you're in the kitchen together after you've called flooded, or in the bathroom together after you've called flooded, it's a matter of time before one of you makes a dig, and then things are going to re-escalate. So you have to get out of each other's hair. Now, during this break from each other, you're not talking. You're not interacting unless you have to. There might be some functional conversation you still have to have, such as, are you picking up Tommy tonight at 5 or am I? But beyond that, you're not interacting, because interactions are not going to go well. And if you're the partner who wants resolution and you want to keep pursuing your partner, you have to back off, because flooded has been called. You are not allowed to pursue them. You're not allowed to talk to them until you're both ready to come back together. But the only way you're going to trust that is if your partner is faithful and coming back within 24 hours to sit down and talk it out. So you both have a growth area there. The partner who's used to pursuing, "Hey, we need to talk this out," they can't do that. So they're going to have to work at stopping that behavior, not pursuing. The partner who's used to withdrawing, they're going to have to work at coming back and being willing to sit down and talk this out. So far in this diamond, someone has called flooded. That's the top of the diamond. Then we go our separate ways for 20 minutes up to 24 hours. Then once we're both calm and relaxed, we come back together. That's the bottom point in the diamond. And we pull out the mini reunite tool. The mini reunite tool is essential, because when you come back to talk it out, first of all, it's essential to come back and talk it out. Otherwise, you're just going to be sweeping these topics under the rug, and that's going to turn into resentment, which turns into walls. And once you have resentments, everything else breaks down in your relationship, as I'm sure you know. But a lot of people don't want to come back and talk it out because they associate that with, we're just going to fight again. Why would we want to come back and talk about it again when we're just going to fight? And that's very true, which is why you need a tool. And the tool I recommend for this is called the Mini Reunite tool. You can Google it, and I'll also include a link to it in the show notes. The Mini Reunite tool is a structure to allow you both to have a chance to share your experience in the conflict. So, for example, partner A would say, "My experience in the conflict was blank, and it made me feel blank, and it tapped into my core need for blank." And then partner B, they're going to have to do the listener steps. And that means first, you're going to have to summarize what you heard your partner just say to make sure you heard it correctly. Then you're going to think through everything they described that upset them, and you have to discern, what did I do that made this conflict worse? Of everything they just described that I did, what's the part of it that I am guilty of that I should have done better? Was it my tone? Was it an action I had? Was it some words that I used? Was it an assumption I was making? What was it that I did as the listener that made this conflict worse? I have to discern that. And when I'm ready, then I make an ownership statement. I own that I contributed to the argument by doing blank. Then I empathize. I can see how me doing blank would have made you feel blank. Now I apologize. I'm sorry for how me doing blank made you feel blank. Now I make amends. Moving forward, how about I blank? What do you think? What else would you appreciate? When that's finished, Now we're going to take turns to do the same thing again. Now partner B has a chance to share their experience in the conflict and what was upsetting to them and what they felt and what core need it was tapping into for them. And then partner A has to go through the exact same listener steps. They have to summarize, own something that they did that contributed to the argument. Then they have to empathize and then apologize and then make amends. Doing that is amazing if you have enough self-control and once you get trained on how to do it well. It takes practice. And again, you're not going to be able to follow that if you're flooded. If either of you get flooded in the mini, call flooded again. Take another break, relax, come back and try it again. Because that tool takes self-control. But once you learn it and once you are skilled in it, it can be a game changer because now we have closure. Now we've processed through the conflict. Now we both have heard each other. We both have owned something. We both have empathized and apologized. And we both have items we're each going to be working on to improve our dynamic moving forward. And that's what you want. When you have a conflict, ideally, it becomes a learning opportunity for your relationship because it's going to highlight things that frustrate both of you. And it's going to highlight things you both can be working on as partners to become better so that you develop a better relationship. So that's the diamond flow. It's flooded. We take a break for 20 minutes up to 24 hours. Once we're both calm, we come back together and we use the mini reunite tool so that we're processing through the conflict correctly, we're having closure, and we're growing. If you need help to work through your resentments, I highly recommend you going through my ER Marriage Intensive. I designed ER to help couples have a concentrated focus on resolving their resentments. When you have active resentments, as you know, nothing else goes well. It's hard to feel like friends with someone you resent. It's hard to have intimacy with someone you resent. So the very first step to improve your marriage is addressing and resolving your resentments, and my ER Marriage Intensive accomplishes that. If you want to learn more, go to my website, look at ER Marriage Intensive, and I'll also include the link in the show notes. Thanks for listening. If you found value in today's episode, be sure to leave a review and click the 5 stars and pay it forward. Click the share button and send this episode to one other person in your circle. Maybe a friend, a family member, someone that you know could benefit from better conflict resolution in their relationship. And remember, your marriage is alive. If you care for it and nurture it, it will grow. If you deprive it and neglect it, it will wilt and die. The choice is up to you. Take care.